from all fours, we're going to take a change in the shape of our spine and then extend out into an opposite arm and leg lift. Just have a little look. So from a square box position, I'm going to draw one knee in and the opposite hand in. I'm going to take the opposite elbow sort of towards my knee, and I'm going to try, allowing my back to round, I'm scooping under with my tummy, allowing that lower back to round. I'm trying to get my forehead on my knee, which isn't really going to happen. And then I'm going to extend and touch the floor with my fingertips and my toes, but my body's come back into a nice square box position, and then I'm going to lift. Yeah, so here we go. So on one side, I'm going to do 4. Let's do 5. 5 on one side, on the same side. So first of all, draw the knee in, take the opposite elbow in. So you're trying to round your spine. It's quite hard on the balance. Drawing everything in. I'm really pulling my abdominals in. And then I'm going to extend arm and leg. So my torso is now back to tissue box mode, and then lift arm and leg independently, holding that there. And now round. Draw in. Make sure you're breathing. Touch the floor first. I want you to reconnect with the floor so that your awareness of your hips and your shoulders being square happens. When you're doing the next bit, let's go again. This is number 3. When you're doing this bit, your goal is just to round. Make yourself as small a ball as you can. Now heighten your awareness. Get everything back to square. Lifting up. Let's just do one more actually. Roll, rounding all the way in. I'm scooping that tummy in. No hanging on to your knee, by the way, if you are trying to cheat and get that knee to touch your forehead by holding on to it. Sorry, I didn't actually tell you that bit. Let's hold that there. Like this was the last one. Hips and shoulders square, lifting up, and have a little sit back. Stressful on that wrist. So just pay some attention there. And then we're all on the other side. So, drawing in first of all, remember no hanging on to that knee. So rounding, I'm just bending this arm in, getting my elbow to my knee. That's maybe all you can manage by rounding that back. I'm trying to use my abdominal wall to draw that knee in so that my knee touches my forehead. Extend, hold here, reset yourself. Heighten your awareness of where your body is in space. And then from there, we're drawing in, we're rounding. Imagine you're looking at yourself from outside. Imagine the shapes that you're creating. This back to coffee table. Lift, arm and leg. Be accurate with this. Go through that stage of touching the floor before you lift. Rounding. But make sure you're breathing, not holding your breath. Hold it here. Pause a moment. Are you in a good square box position? Then lift. One more to go. And in you come. Rounding, holding, touching the floor and lifting, holding there. Great job. Nowhere near as stressful on that side. Maybe it's because I demonstrated on that side. Good. From there, we're going to take some press-ups. So class B is always a bit strength and conditioning. Let's take some wide press-ups to start with. We're going to turn the fingertips in towards each other. Make sure you're spreading the fingers and the thumbs far apart. Make sure those hands are underneath your shoulders. So I'm at least shoulder width apart. My thumbs actually are creating a straight line across the top of the mat if I was there on my mat. So that from this square box position, if this is the easiest version of press-ups that you could do, you might just want to stay here today. Elbows go out to the side. In fact, let's start here. Let's progressively get harder and see how we go. So from all fours, lifting the back of the head and neck, keeping that chin tucked in, shoulders are slid down, abdominals braced, knees underneath the hips. There is no change whatsoever apart from my arms bending. Elbows are going out to the side. Breathe in as you lower, breath out as you straighten. Hinge at your hip, no change in the shape of your butt, your spine. The worst thing I see with press-ups is always this reaching forwards with the head. Keep this bit absolutely still. It's like you've got a rod there. There's no change. Just do a couple more. I'm sure you are stopping to really think about your technique there. So we're breathing in, breathing out. So notice whether you're cheating in any way. You probably are. From there, if you want to, let's take those knees back. So this is your easiest position for press-ups, a square box position. If you're going to move on, your hands are going to stay, your shoulders are going to stay forwards, but you take your knees back, you drop your hips forward. So now I'm in a diagonal line from my knees to my shoulders. Same thing, only the arms are bending. If you can, take your torso all the way to the floor, but that might be too much for you today. Otherwise, you're just here. Elbows are going out, but there's no change. Don't do this, the sort of combination of the two. You're taking your knees back, but you're still sticking your bottom out. And look where my shoulders are in relationship to my hands. That's really not good. You want those shoulders above your hands. If anything, think of the front of your shoulder being past your fingertips. Elbows out to the side. Same breathing. Breath in, breath out. Good job. I'm going to take my hips back on my heels, toes together, knees nice and wide. Just have a little sway from side to side whilst we twiddle those wrists. I'm going to leave that there today, but we'll build on that a little bit more. Loads more stuff to get through. Great, okay. Let's come back to, okay, from there, butt work. Yeah, I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to go this way because I want to use my right buttock first. So come back to your square box position where we just were, and then come down to your elbows. So we did this a little while ago, totally focusing on your buttock muscles. And we're going to take the leg up to the ceiling, flexing the foot and making a right angle with that thigh. I have a tendency to want to let my leg rotate out, so I'm going to just drop my head down and have a little look. Make sure your hips are level with each other. That thigh is parallel to the floor and the sole of the foot is going to press up towards the ceiling. Try not to be leaning. So I'm just going to put my knee down again. I wasn't in a very good square box position there. So make sure you're in a good square box position. Take that knee away. It's challenging not to shift and adapt your position. The goal here is to take the sole of your foot up towards the ceiling. Push that heel up by switching on and switching off at your buttock. In fact, not even switching on and switching off. It's working really hard, but it's my buttock muscles that are doing the work. It's not pelvis moving. Hopefully you can see that difference. So I'm just lifting that knee up. Don't let the knee lift too low. It's quite a small movement. Lifting up. Hopefully you're starting to feel some work going on there. Now let's draw that knee in, and again, no change in your lower back, in the shape of your lower back. And then I'm going to stretch the leg out, straight behind me, flexing the foot. I'm going to point, I'm just going to relax the foot actually as I come in, and then straighten out. Draw in. So I'm increasing the hinge at this hip. And then when I straighten that leg, I can really feel again my buttock muscles kicking in to do the work. Drawing my belly button in, keeping the rib cage connected. Let that head just drop down a little bit so the back of the neck isn't getting too tense. I'm getting a bit of an earthquake going on now. Straightening. Okay, let's hold that leg straight. I'm going to point that foot. I'm going to take a semicircle. I'm going to cross my leg all the way over. So leg is out straight and the foot is pointed. I'm going to cross my leg all the way over and tap my toes to, so if I'm here, that's probably the easiest way to describe it. Have a little look from here. So I'm going to cross over to tap this back corner of the mat, lift up and then touch the other corner of the mat. So you're drawing like a semicircle. The highest point of your semicircle is in the middle and it's at hip height. So it's not all the way up there because that again would make me change my pelvis. Go as far across as you can so you get those inside thighs switching on. Drawing that semicircle. And your supporting leg and hip is probably feeling a little bit of stress now as well. Perfectly natural. Keeping those hips still. And I've had enough there. Great, let's take a pigeon stretch there. So that leg that was out behind you, bring it forward so the knee is between your both hands. Get the other leg out the way by straightening out behind you. Take the foot across and then slide the back leg way behind you and just come forwards over that hip and that thigh and that shin. Hopefully you should be getting quite a good old strong stretch. If you're really not feeling it much, bring this foot more forwards. Try not to be here as I just did. This is, if you're resting down on the side that you're stretching, that's not an effective stretch. Roll over, you want to be off of it and then you want to roll a little bit. Maybe come down onto your elbows. I'm going to go over here. And then maybe stretch those arms forwards and breathe. Move around within it. Good job. Okay, all on the other side for that butt work. So set yourself up really well. Square box, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Come down onto your elbows. Take that other leg away. Drop your head down. Have a little look. Is that knee pulled, turned out? Hopefully thigh is nice and parallel. Hips are on the same level with each other. You're not leaning all the way over to one side to compensate. Stay square. So I'm actually going to put my knee down again because when I was demonstrating all those bad things, I could feel myself shifting over. So nice and square, elbows and knees, then take the leg away. Flexing the foot, keep that thigh parallel to the floor and then just that little pulse upwards. So this side is already a bit tired from having to support you when you did the other side. So don't worry if the shaking starts to kick in a little bit earlier. pushing up. And notice I'm not really giving you numbers. I try not to with this sort of work. Feel how it is in your own body. This is my stronger side, also my tighter side from my hip. But as I said, it's already a little bit fatigued. So notice when the shaking starts to kick in, if it does at all. Go with it a little bit longer than you would like to. Go past your comfort zone. That's where the magic happens. But not to the point of losing your technique. So if you feel that you're really leaning away from that leg, or you're starting to move your lower back, your pelvis to get the job done, you're losing the technique. That's not good. Let's come all the way in now and then stretch out, flexing that foot. So I have to be really careful not to lift, change my lower back to get that knee in. If you just want to lower it to the floor, that's absolutely fine. Focus on really extending that leg, pushing the back of your knee up towards the ceiling. When you extend though, don't let the shape of your pelvis change. Okay, so I'm really feeling some work going on now, getting quite a lot of shaking. I'm going to do a couple more. And then I'm going to hold that leg out still. I'm dropping my head down to have a little look. But essentially, I'm going all the way as far as I can across, lifting and going out to the side, keeping my pelvis still. So no, you don't actually need to go any wider than my yoga mat. That's about right. You could go more to the side, to this side, this open side, as opposed to the cross side where I'm now. But you're going to lean over on your hip in order to achieve that. So my shoulders are feeling the work as well. But that's good. Good stamina for the shoulders. Muscles at the back of the neck, holding the head in the right position. 2 more. My other leg is screaming at me, and there we go. Whew. Bringing that leg forward, so I'm going to stay here. So bringing the knee forwards, make a triangle with your hands. Take the foot across, get the other leg out of the way, and then slide that leg back. And initially for me, I can already feel it here. So I'm just going to hold it here. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to rock over that shin. So another way to do this stretch is not as strong. It's not as strong as this pigeon stretch from yoga, but would be to lie on your back and take a figure of 4 stretch. So I've moved my foot forwards a little bit more, just to get a bit more of a tweak on that. I've come down onto my elbows, everything's adding a bit to the stress, but the muscles are relaxing into it, it's absolutely fine. Breathing, I'm going to just stretch my arms out, last part. Great job, okay. Coming to sitting nice and upright. So this is into our rotation that we were doing standing, just the ribcage rotation. And the challenge here, and it's really quite tough, in fact I'm going to go to the end of my mat as well. So the first challenge, which might be really quite difficult for some of you, is to just sit in this upright position with your legs out straight. It is an important thing to be able to do. In the same way we need a certain amount of length in the hamstrings, we need to be able to sit upright with our spine. And it's partly length in the hamstrings as well, but just general strength in the back muscles. So just holding here is strong enough as it is. But we're going to flex the feet, and I've got my feet sort of shoulder width apart. I'm going to flex the feet, and I've really flexed my feet so that my heels have come up, but that's fine. You could sit on a block if you needed to here, and you could have your knees slightly bent, as long as that gets your spine upright. So actually, the most important thing here is to have a neutral pelvis, so not to be tucked under here, sitting right on top, right up on those sit bones, so that your spine is upright, because we're going to rotate around that spine. So legs slightly bent but feet flexed if you need to, or sit on a block or a book or a small cushion, not too much padding. But if you can, ideally, legs are straight, feet are flexed as if you're standing, so there was no change in those legs. And then we're bringing our elbows out to the side and our hands onto our chest, and we're going to take that same movement we did standing up. So I'm going to come towards the camera. So we've got 3 pulses, 3, 2, 1, and come back to the center. So breath out and back to the center. What I'm really trying to be conscious of is that I don't end up doing this with my legs. For each pulse, the legs, you end up with one leg longer than the other. So I'm really trying to lift my rib cage off of my hips. I'm trying to isolate those ribs, those obliques, and not join in at the pelvis and the legs. One more each side. Breath out. Breath in, grow taller, lift the ribs off. And back to the center. And have a little relax. Very grippy on the hip flexors, just holding that position is tough. So let's come down onto our backs and take a straight bridge to stretch out the hip flexors more than anything, but the whole of the spine. So we're down here, feet nice and close to your hips, spine in a neutral position, collarbone open, chin tucked in, push down through those feet, lift those hips up. So our goal is to open up here and then straight back down. So breathing out, lifting up, and breath in to lower. So a straight bridge, no change in the shape of your spine, especially that lower back, that pelvis. Switching the buttocks on. Stay up a little bit higher, just stay up if you can. Take those hips up a tiny bit higher, send your knees away. Let's take the arms up and over, but just hover them off of the floor. Leave them there, hovering off the floor. If I just tip my fingertips back, I can touch the floor, but I'm going to hold that there. And then I'm going to reverse peel back down through the spine. It should feel quite nice. Bring the arms up and over. Let's go up for a straight bridge with the arms as well, all the way up and over. Really try and send the knees away in the opposite direction to the fingertips and reverse peel down. Bring those arms over. One more of those. Up to the top. Breath out. Sorry, I should have gone with the arm, with the hips. Holding it there. Hold it there for your breath in. See if you can get those hips a tiny bit higher. Rib cage drawn down, and then really soften that rib cage. Push the ribs at the back into the floor. Let those arms just be a nice heavy weight to add to that stretch. Bringing the arms over and relax. Brilliant. Okay, on to our abdominal section. Oh my gosh, where does the time go? Okay, it's a tough abdominal section today. So we're going to start here. Have a little look. We're going to take a leg extension quite high up towards the ceiling, bend the knees and swing over. Leg extension. So you're basically coming into a reverse abdominal curl. Extension, bend the knees, let the legs swing. I'm pushing down a little bit on my hands. Neutral. And then you're rounding that lower back, peeling lower back off, using the backs of your arms. And there. Try not
not to. I can feel myself doing it a little bit. Try not to let those shoulders round forwards. So we're using a little bit of momentum, but actually really tucking under, using those lower abdominals to get that reverse curl. Place your hands at the back of your head. Fingertips interlaced, fingers interlaced, elbows are forwards. I'm going to bring my legs into, in fact I'm going to keep them, so you can keep them here, you can keep them slightly bent and straight up to the ceiling. Super advanced would be to keep them straight. Easier would be to be in a tabletop position. I'm going to go sort of half and half in between the two. Coming up, clearing your shoulder blades in an abdominal curl, but my pelvis, my lower back is in neutral. This is leg lowers. Lowering both legs towards the floor. Basically all you're doing is opening up the angle here at the hips. So hardest version is straight legs because you've got that whole long lever. Head is being totally supported by your hands and your arms. No stress on the neck. Make sure the shoulder blades are cleared. Little bit easier, legs slightly bent. I'm just focusing on only going as far as I can until I start to feel that lower back is going to arch or the lower abdominal wall is going to bunch up. Or here is easiest version, but they're all tough, really tough. Good. On into, now coming up, we're switching the legs for advanced scissors. We've got straight legs, we're switching for 3, 2, 1, flexing both feet, pulling that top leg in for an extra hamstring stretch. Switch, 3, 2, 1, feet are pointed. My lower back now is completely tucked under. I'm flexing the feet, drawing in for a bit of a stronger hamstring stretch, pointing the feet, and 3, 2, 1, flex and draw in. 4 more sets. 3, 2, 1, flex, draw in, and 3, 2, 1, flex and draw in. 2 more, we're nearly there. 3, 2, 1, flex and draw in, and 3, 2, 1, flex, drawing in, and have a little relax down. Hug those knees in, let your head roll from side to side. Woo, good work.